Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to the Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast with PJ and Mike. Now find yourself a seat at their table.
Hey kids, I'm Mike.
I'm PJ.
I'm Michael Schlapp. Oh, sorry. got excited.
And today we're going to be reviewing Deadpool and Wolverine. And to help us out, we have Mike Schlapp.
That's right.
And Uncle Rob. Yay!
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
You know, there are some folks on the internet who have called Uncle Rob the unofficial third member of the Cool Kids Lunch Table podcast because he's our most frequent guest.
Wow, what an honor.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. Whoever said that, thank you so much.
Yeah. And just to give folks, if you want to hear more about Rob and the other Mike Schlapp, Mike was on our Quentin Tarantino and Ninja Turtles episode. Rob has been on a bunch, most famously the Back to the Future, the most recent
Yes.
popular Golden Lunchbox Awards, and some Christmas episodes. So, but they're here to help us out, get through this review of Deadpool and Wolverine. So, Mr. PJ, and guys, this is a spoiler review, okay? We're gonna go in heavy. We're gonna take out the claws, okay? No pun intended. and PJ's gonna give us a plot summary just to get the wheels in motion. And but before we do, we're to do a quick go around. Real quickly, do we like it? Love it? It's okay, or it blows? So Uncle Rob, you start us off.
Oh, wow.
Do you like
All right.
it? Love it?
I wanted to love it, but I'm going to say that I thought it was okay. That's about it. Yeah, I'm going to leave it
Gotcha.
at that. It was okay.
That's a okay. Mr. PJ.
I went in hoping that it would be good and that I would like it. And I think the best you could get out of this movie is it was just okay.
It's very gentle of you.
Yeah.
I'll get more violent with this review as it
Okay.
goes on. It's a slow burn.
Oh, buckle up.
I want to, like my brother, I wanted to love it. To say I think I hated it because I was so disappointed. But to say it's okay, I think that even that's being generous. I think this is serviceable. I don't know if maybe that is
Serviceable
maybe
is a
it's
good
maybe
word.
it's the same word. Maybe it's the same homonym as the word okay. But even that I think is generous. Mike,
And
what
all
do you
the
think?
Deadpool
I loved it. I loved
Only
it.
one guy at the
Yes,
table thought
there
this
it
was an okay. More than okay.
Right.
Kept all the Deadpool
Yeah.
fans sticking around for this.
Yeah,
Right.
and all the Deadpool and Wolverine fans have signed off. They're not listening to the rest. So you want me to do a plot summary of
Yeah,
this?
just kind of how they got into, and we can help you out, of
Okay.
course. So,
All right. Plot. This is going to be quick because there is no fucking plot to this
yeah,
movie.
and there's no real story.
There's nothing. It's very nothing. So, all right. Here's where we're at. The movie starts with the way most of these Deadpool movies starts. There's an action scene, and then it flashes back to what led to that action scene.
Yep.
I think both of the other Deadpool movies started off very similarly. And like we said, this is going to be a spoiler, so I am going to just spoil the fuck out of it.
Yep.
So, he's fighting the TVA, the Time Variance Authority. You may know them from such Marvel classics as Loki and Loki Season 2 and a couple of other places they may have shown up. They basically, their purpose in the cinematic universe is to keep the sacred timeline as like the only timeline. They call it pruning when they get rid of the variants that fuck with the main timeline. Deadpool's Earth, his universe, his timeline is not the sacred timeline because that was the Fox movie universe. It wasn't the Marvel universe. So they now go to... It starts off with them attacking Deadpool. So he wants to team up with Wolverine, but Logan died in
Right.
the movie Logan. So he goes to dig up the grave, and he uses Logan's adamantium-laced bones as weapons in a scene that went on for what felt like 6 hours.
It was opening credits too, so they have like directed by, starring, da da da.
All that shit's happening during the action. It was so long though. Just wouldn't end. It just wouldn't end. And there was a funny part in it where he's like dancing to
Bye
with
NSYNC.
NSYNC,
Yep.
and it was kind of funny. I laughed. The jokes land, but it was a very long action scene. I like action and the blood and the violence and the gory shit too, but my God, it didn't end. So then we have to find out, well, how did we get to that fight? Right? So it flashes back, and Deadpool, Wade Wilson, is meeting with Jon Favreau's Happy Hogan, somehow on the
which wasn't very clear.
How did he
but-
get to the MCU Earth to meet with him? They don't
Yeah,
explain that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, they don't.
He's just there.
Right.
They don't explain how he's moving through timelines other than it's Deadpool and he breaks the fourth wall so he can. It was dumb. And they turn him down and say, no, Wade, you can't be an Avenger.
Right. And the reason why that he wants to become an Avenger, which later on we'll get into why I was unhappy with this, but he basically, Deadpool goes through a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And he finds he doesn't matter in life. Like, he feels like he has no real purpose. You know, he's just a guy he's just a merc with the mouth, basically. And his, I don't know if they're married in the movie or I can't remember. His girlfriend, Vanessa.
Yeah, I think it's just his girlfriend.
Okay, so his girlfriend, they're having a rocky relationship. They more or less split up, and he wants to win her back. But, well, I guess she loses interest in him because he has no purpose in life, or it wasn't very
They
clear.
didn't make it clear.
Yeah. So, but he's in a midlife crisis. He becomes a car salesman, a used car salesman, and one of the reasons why, well, you get into it. They get what's it called, the TVA?
The TVA, yeah.
They
So
get Deadpool.
So they
Thank you.
they eventually wind up getting Deadpool back to their headquarters. I forget what it was called in the movie and in the TV show. And they explained to Deadpool that, again, another thing that didn't make much sense, because all of these timelines keep getting pruned because they're not the main timeline. They were going to allow that timeline to exist because of Wolverine, because he was so important that they were going to let that universe continue, but then he dies in Logan, so now they got to get rid of the whole universe. And I think in exchange for that, they were going to let Deadpool live. Was that the thing?
Yeah.
If you help us get rid of that universe,
But he would lose his universe.
he would
Yes,
lose his
yes,
universe.
That was the exchange.
Right,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
the exchange. And Deadpool says no, he wants to save his friends. And now we go on a wild goose chase to find a Wolverine that can help Deadpool save his universe.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the logic behind it was, if I find another Wolverine to live in my world to replace the one that died, things will keep going. I guess that was the logic behind that move.
Yep.
Which then leads to a series of cameos, or I wouldn't even call them cameos because it's not. It's just Wade meeting different Wolverines throughout the multiverse to try and find one to bring back to save the world. And I'll let you guys let me know. Should I spoil the different cameos, or should we just leave it at that?
We'll get into that later
Okay.
on.
Well, I mean,
So-
like the different Wolverine things.
Oh yeah, that you can do. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you see, like, the Wolverine from Age of Apocalypse in the comics, where he only has the one arm or the one hand. You see, he's in the white suit as Patch. They have a pretty funny joke that I think it's one of the best jokes in the movie, so I won't spoil it. But there's a few other ones, which was pretty cool to see him, to see all the different versions of Wolverine. I thought that was one of the high points of
Yes.
the movie, just to see the different versions. So I won't spoil all of them. That's probably some of the only bits worth any enjoyment, so we'll leave that be. But there were some cool ones. Then we meet the Wolverine that's going to inevitably be the one that helps Deadpool. And they don't tell you why up front, but he's a shitty Wolverine. That's the gist of the plot line, right? Like,
Yep.
He's the shitty Wolverine, and he's the only one that Wade's able to somehow trick into helping him. So then here's where it gets fuzzy with the plot. Because here's where the plot stops.
Yeah.
So there's a whole build-up about how the TVA wants to destroy the universe. Deadpool's going to get Wolverine. They set the TVA up, and there's a guy. I keep calling him Dr. Proctologist. What's his name?
Paradox.
Mr.
yeah.
Paradox.
Yeah.
He might as well be Dr. Proctologist because the movie is straight ass. So
If you haven't picked up on that yet.
yeah, if you haven't
According
picked
to
up,
PJ
yeah,
right now.
it's straight ass. So now we forget all
Right.
of the setup that's happened in this movie. Fuck all. We don't need that anymore. Now we're in the void. They get pruned. They're in the void because Deadpool doesn't want to help. Wolverine doesn't want to help. The Time Variance Authority needs to get rid of them. They send him to the Wasteland, which is essentially becomes a joke, a parody of Mad Max. Right?
Yeah.
What it
Yeah.
Sort of.
And it goes on. What starts off as a joke satire on Mad Max, it goes on for it never ends. It never
It
ends.
ends up becoming the whole
movie.
The whole
The whole
I
second
guess,
act.
Yeah, the whole. What do you call that? Like like establishing area for the rest of the
Yeah.
film. You know,
It's
it takes
like-
place in this whole area for the rest of the time.
And it means nothing
So-
to anything.
Yep.
So they're there, but it has nothing really to do with the plot that they've set up, which is we have to save Deadpool's timeline.
And now they had to escape this land to get back to the real world.
Right.
To stop this
Now,
multiverse thing from happening.
as we learned in the second scene of the movie, Deadpool had the ability to go to a different Earth. They even say in the caption, like the what do you call it, subtitles or whatever. They start off, and when he's on his Earth, it's like Earth 1000 or whatever. I forget what the number they used. And then when he meets with Happy Hogan, it said Earth 616. So you know he has the ability to go to different places without them explaining why. So there's no reason why he's stuck in the void. They flat out tell you in the second scene of the movie he can go wherever he wants.
He's using Cable's machine from the second one, right?
Is that what they
I think so. I think so. But like they don't remind you about that.
I think they mentioned it briefly that he went to different timeline using his cable thing, but I think he destroyed it, right?
Is that what it is? Because I
said
totally
that.
missed the fact that he used.
Right.
But he didn't destroy it. But he destroyed it before he went to the Avengers to meet Happy Hogan. It would have been destroyed before then.
I don't know about any destruction though. Maybe
They don't show it.
They don't show it. They might have
But he
just said
says it because he tells them, "Oh, I got rid of that. I don't do that anymore."
Yeah.
So it would have been gone before he got to Earth 616, based on what they tell us.
Right.
In
Maybe
this,
he lied.
I might have
So-
drifted at that moment.
Right.
So,
So,
good job. on you
long
guys.
story
Sorry.
short, then as we continue,
Yeah.
we'll get more into this. We'll finish the storyline, but yeah, to just leave it off. Basically, now they're in this Mad Max world. They need to get back to the real world
which
to
is
solve this.
from the Loki
So-
TV. So we've seen this before, but if you've never seen Loki,
Yeah,
you
it's
have
not gonna
no
make any
idea.
sense.
It means nothing
Right.
to you.
So,
Right.
folks, PJ must have spent 10 minutes on that in the theater. That's how much exposition is happening.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the first, honestly, 25 minutes.
It's all
it is
exposition.
a crawl, which is totally different from the first Deadpool's, where it was beautifully paced. The first one's only really an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 40 minutes. It was beautifully paced. The second one, maybe 2 hours, beautifully paced. This one feels like this first 25 minutes was a crawl. And at the end, Mike, you were saying, "Oh, this was a dead audience." Yeah, maybe because this movie's dead.
Yeah.
It's not
because
that
we're all
funny.
sleeping.
And I always say is you only have, especially with movies, especially comedies, you only have the first. You need your jokes to start landing in the beginning. And I felt the beginning, most of those jokes didn't really land. I didn't really think, the whole opening sequence with him playing with, Logan's bones. I mean, he was as a puppet at one point. That was good. But then some of these jokes just go on for too long. And I think the difference between this Deadpool, which is the weakest, the first two are fantastic. There's no breathing room with Deadpool in this whole movie. Like, sometimes you have to let the jokes simmer. But this movie is just a conveyor belt of nonstop jokes. Most of them don't land. And the ones that do land, they do land. But most of them don't. So, like I said, we're going to go now through the pros and cons of this film as we're talking more
Yeah.
about the plot.
There's no more plot. I mean, at
Right.
this
So
point.
that's basically it. So, Rob, you take us off. What did you like and what you didn't like, and just go. Whatever
so,
you had planned.
Like you were kind of covering a lot of this, but I love Deadpool. I do. One
Yep.
and two, loved it. Wolverine, I love. Big, huge fan of them. When it opened with that whole scene where he's using his bones and has him propped up on a bench, I laughed, but then I'm like, it told me what kind of movie this is going to be, and I have to really accept it. Like, I know Deadpool is what it is. He's that kind of comedy. And you definitely can see now, like, Wolverine stepped into his world more than, like, the reverse. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I get it. It was a bit loony with that. He's using all his bones to beat everyone up. I was, like, I felt that it was, like, disrespectful to him at the moment. But I said to myself, Rob, you got to just take it for what it is. I think a lot of this movie is that. As it carried through, I felt, like you guys said with the plot, I couldn't really follow. And I'm kind of like representing the everyman in terms of the comics. I don't know it as well as you guys inside and out, but I can still follow what's going on overall usually. I think it was dragged out. The villains, I really wasn't a big fan of the villains. I thought they were kind of like handpicked randomly somewhat. I wasn't like afraid of them yet. Was it Nova?
Yes.
She had her powers and whatnot, but I felt like she was kind of boring.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this was like surface level movie. I think it reminded me of, in a way, the Expendables, where you had
Yes.
like Stallone.
Oh, what
and
a
Stallone
great
was like,
analogy.
Stallone was like, listen, let's get all these guys in here. Everyone wants to see these people on screen.
Yes.
Right.
And then it's like, all right, with
Wow.
all the cameos that we saw and stuff like that, like everyone couldn't wait to see Deadpool and Wolverine together, and me too. Like I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be badass, and I was kind of like disappointed overall. So I think it was a lot of that, a lot of fan service going on in this. I love Deadpool, like you said, Mike, but the pacing, he didn't stop. He didn't take a breath.
Yeah.
I think that's him in real life too. With Reynolds, I've watched some interviews now since like he doesn't stop talking. But I couldn't absorb any of the jokes sometimes. I was kind of like getting worn out. I felt a bit exhausted. Maybe I'll leave it at that for now as we go around. But I don't know.
I
The
think
fight
you made
scenes,
a
I think,
great
were kind
point
of
with the villain being boring.
yeah. If you guys want to ad-lib on
Right.
that, 'cause I got plenty more.
And I
but,
think, and what I love what you said was the perfect analogy was that the Expendables, which was like 100% accurate. And just to go off with the villain, so actually there really is no villains in this. Oh, there is, but I don't really feel like there's no really big meat to it.
There's no stakes, really.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like...
Because the whole movie's really meaningless. Because
Yeah.
the way it ends, the way it starts and the way it ends, everything's really pretty much the same. Like, something is some kind of resolution. You don't really see the.
I also felt the ending was kind of flat, the way it ends.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw this in. I know someone's going to say it, but the multiverse thing,
Yep.
I've been over it since it started, honestly. And I'm a time travel guy and all this stuff, but it's trying to keep all these timelines together, all the plots, and I think that's why it's getting thinner and thinner. There's no
Ooh.
beef. There's no substance, and I think you can kind of feel it. You have to take it. That movie for me last night was just, in a positive way, it was like, this is a fun movie, tons of jokes, some
Right.
action. I see these two on screen, and they kind of gave us what we
Yep.
wanted in that realm.
Yeah.
But in terms of deep story, and I'm a story guy and like plot guy and strong writing, it wasn't there.
Let's ask Mr. Schlapp.
Yeah, 'cause this guy-
Schlappisms.
You're the only person that liked it. What,
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
that's-
is it that you liked
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it? that
sure,
we
talk
missed?
to that guy.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
are we not getting?
All right, here we go. So I went into this with a lot of love. I have a lot of emotional bias. I love the X-Men. What
There
I
it
love
is.
about them is they're like a team, and each person has one power. We were watching Superman and Batman last
Yeah.
night. Superman has everything. It's kind of boring, right?
Yep.
He's a great guy, but the X-Men are cool because they're just all different, and I love that. So I wanted to go in and see more X-Men represented on screen because we have too much of the other guys, and I wanted to give this. I wanted the X-Men to have like a proper send-off or whatever, right? And so I went in and I was like, yes, and I got more mutants, and that's what I loved about it. I wanted to see more of the mutants on screen. My con of the movie was that there weren't more mutants. Like you guys were saying, like, oh, he should have grabbed some of the mutants from his timeline. I think that's a great complaint, and I approve of that. But
Yeah.
I just love watching the performances a lot. Hugh Jackman.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. He
He was
killed it.
great.
I think
He
he
was
was the
always
best.
great.
Yeah.
It was good
he
to
was.
see him again. And I did like the cameos because it was cool. It was kind of like giving those guys send-offs too, Like, spoiler alert, like Blade and all those guys.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was really cool. Like, I was cheering inside, but like nobody else was cheering in the audience, so I was like, oh, I feel weird being very vocal right now. But I love that. I like the quips. They were very fast, and they were good. I liked how self-aware the movie was about, like, about the multiverse complaint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, it's good. I like how they're actually poking fun at all the problems
Yeah.
that you've listed.
Fox and everything
Yeah.
too was in there. Disney
Yeah.
jokes.
Yeah, that was cool. And, I like Hugh Jackman's body. I feel like he's
Oh, yeah.
like, not like a father figure, but like our gym teacher.
Yeah,
from
yeah.
From our youth, So it's like, it's cool seeing him do that. And I think,
Which gym teacher from our youth? Didn't we have all the same
Yeah.
gym teachers? I'm trying to remember which one.
I
Hugh
got
Jackman
one in
was.
mind, I think.
The one we didn't have, like just the one
Oh,
we didn't have.
Right, right,
Like
right.
the one we needed, right? So
He doesn't remind me of Mr. Cheaty. I don't know.
But what did you, but Mike? What did you think of the story though? Because I agree,
Yeah,
I agree. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
all the positive of this film is Ryan Reynolds is great as Deadpool.
Excellent.
Even
Right,
though
right.
he's exhausting, like the first Deadpool, there is space between his. He doesn't talk as much as he. This one he talks the most, without a doubt.
He doesn't stop talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which takes away the jokes. He's because he doesn't give the chance to let the thing simmer. But all the acting
I left
is
that
great.
light on some of them.
Oh,
Some
yeah,
were kind
yeah.
of like, okay,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
Loved, side note, I loved Gambit in the film. I thought that was well done. His
Yeah.
jokes were fun too.
Yeah,
I
love
thought he
Gambit.
was a highlight of the film, but probably for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
in a good
Exactly.
way.
No, I love Gambit the character. But I
Right.
feel like he wasn't selling that well, and I don't know.
I think it was a
kinda
joke.
goof.
I think the accent was like a
Yeah.
goof. The whole thing
Yeah.
was. I watched this movie and I'm like, I know why that movie never got made.
Oh,
Right.
shoot.
That's how
Yeah.
I felt about
Yeah.
it. Like,
Oh,
I know
yeah.
I
It
get
almost
it.
seems limited in a weird way
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it only really has to look. What's his Channing Tatum comes out as Gambit, like the one from like the X-Men animated cartoon, like that
Like, he
kind of
looks like
with
that,
the
yeah.
brown with the purple chest, magenta chest kind of
Yeah.
thing.
It was cool. I thought because I know as an actor he wanted to do that very well. So I'm just happy for him. He got his dream. Whether it's well received, I understand, but I personally enjoyed it. It was funny.
But,
Had a good time.
Right, but what did you like about the story?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did,
about
like,
that.
so all these things I agree with. It's
Yeah.
fun
Yeah, no,
seeing
me
these
too,
guys.
100%.
Right,
Hugh Jackman's
right.
awesome. He looks beautiful. Everyone, all the acting is fine. Most of the comedy does work. I agree. It's
Right,
just for like, but what did you like about like? Are you gonna watch this movie every day? You gonna watch it before it's Deadpool 1 and 2?
Before. I'm sorry.
You gonna
Like
watch
if
it
you had to
before?
pick
Oh.
story wise, like which one do you want to watch again?
Oh,
Between
I
Could
one,
you
two,
watch this
3?
over and over? Like I can't watch it again.
I don't
Could
think I
you?
need to see this ever
I,
again.
I see. Yeah, I see your point. I wanted to say that like I think I had so much emotional bias, and I love the mutants so much. Like I just overlooked like the whole romance thing, like his
Right.
wife. Like I mean,
Yeah.
that's a good point. They were soulmates, and I'll give you that. But like I think to me, I know this is crazy. It didn't matter because I just loved the mutants so much. So I was like so emotionally invested in like that whole aspect. Like I'm like,
Right.
"Yeah, well, okay, whatever. Yeah, whatever he's doing. Let's see these guys team up. Let's see them have fun. Let's see them fight. Like that to me just kind of like blew all that.
Wow.
Yeah. it was-
See, I'm flabbergasted because number one, you are an actor.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
for you to say story doesn't matter is
this-
it's incredible.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, yeah,
incredible.
yeah. For
That's
this,
that's
I guess
astonishing.
he's going with the acting side, which I do agree with.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and not that he's like a. Don't take offense. Like not like that he's been a fanboy to the overall.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are seeing it like that. Like listen, I went on like Facebook since we saw
Right.
it just to see people's comments and people are loving it. Then randomly you would see a couple people like us three kind of
Right.
going like, oh man, the plot wasn't there, but it's really cool acting. We get it. Blah 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 blah. But it's kind of like it reminds me also real quick in terms of reviewing music and albums.
Yeah.
Like my favorite bands, whatever, say the Stones and Dream Theater. I will say if the album's not that good, I will
Right.
kill it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So like when I see something, or maybe just being too serious at the movies, I don't know. But I'm so much about story that's where it fell flat. And I think you have to either overlook it like Michael Schlapp's doing, or if you're gonna nitpick, or not even nitpick, just look for a story, you're gonna be disappointed.
Yep.
Right.
That's how I fall into it.
Right.
And my okay range was that, like saying, well, I
Right.
love them. Like Wolverine on set with the suit on, there was a few moments I almost wanted to cry. I was like, wow, this
That's
acting.
why it's okay.
But
Like,
it was
that's the
okay.
reason why it's
Right.
okay is because you get those moments where you're like, that shit's cool to see
Right.
on film, on a movie. But then if you take all that away, it fucking sucks. Like there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's bad. And I don't know how far a cameo or a yellow spandex can take me
Yeah.
into a movie before like so when they're on the void,
Right.
like here's the other thing. Like they're in the void, now they have to escape to go back
Right.
and save the world. And you meet like the I don't know if you want if they're the rebellion, I don't know what you want
Right.
to call them, right? You meet these people, and the first one you meet is spoiler alert again, but is Chris Evans, but he shows up and he's not Cap, he's Johnny Storm. And that's like an oh shit moment,
Yeah,
right? And
that
you're
was
like,
kind of funny.
That was
like,
kind of
he's gonna
funny.
say he's gonna say it, and he said
Flame
flame
on,
on instead.
right.
But that was
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
That was a good joke. Like that lands, and I'm like, all right, I was cool with that.
Yeah.
I was cool with that when I thought this movie was only going to have the void for 10 minutes and we were going to get
Right.
to the real thing.
No, yeah, me too.
Then it
yeah.
just drags on, and then all right, you meet the villain, like you said, Cassandra Nova, who in the comics, if you're not familiar with her, is Professor X's twin
Sister's brother's
sister.
former roommate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's his twin sister that tried to kill him in the womb, and then she gets like shit out into a sewer, and he becomes Professor X, and then she just shows up later on to cause some shit. And
Hell yeah.
the problem with her is I struggle to call her the villain or the main antagonist because she has
Yeah.
no connection to the main characters other than the fact that she's there. It's a movie built on nostalgia, and then they dropped in a villain that you've never seen before.
Right.
So if everything else is a throwback,
Right.
to like Schlapp said, give almost an ending to these characters that never got an ending.
Right.
Why would you bring in someone who you have no attachment to? It takes you out. It took me out of that moment of at least I'm seeing some old shit that I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. You
And
need
then
someone new. I'm sorry. You need just someone new to hate. I don't know. Like something new.
But there was
You know.
nothing new in the movie.
Which I kind of agree with too.
You know.
I felt like there was nothing new about her in the movie,
Right.
and I was just
Or-
like, can we fast forward and get
I-
to the part where this matters
Yeah,
again?
I think what. Let me start with this real quick because Mike brought it up, and I said this because we saw the movie together this past Friday and we're recording on a Sunday. So you're saying like the love story doesn't matter. The great thing about Deadpool is that's the great part is that he can be anything and do anything you drop and it works because he's a comedic character. So why did they have to sacrifice his character in terms of like basically in the film like they're gonna him and his wife girlfriend whatever the fuck her name is Vanessa they break up right they are broken up because at one point she says she's dating someone else. They were soulmates in these first two films, especially for and the thing that makes Deadpool special is he was the side chick of the MCU. He was his own thing. You know, I know he was a part of cinematic. I'm talking about Marvel. He was his own side thing. So now if you're gonna drag him into this universe, don't sacrifice the things that makes his character special. Even though he's an idiot, he's a Jim Carrey wannabe without the facial expressions. Basically, what Ryan Reynolds is doing. It's Jim Carrey without the facial expressions. Just hey guys, alrighty then. It's the same shit.
Oh, damn.
He's just ripping off Jim Carrey. But you don't sacrifice the character of Deadpool because even though he's an idiot, violent, at the end of the day, he's a very sensitive person who loves this woman more than anything. And for him in this film, all of a sudden, he's going to get a midlife crisis. She wants to break up with him because he lost purpose in life.
Right.
All they had to do was just say something silly, be like, literally someone gives him a phone call, Deadpool, we need someone else who is invincible to kick some guy's ass. Logan's dead. Or Logan needs help. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to bring this other stuff. You get what I'm saying? Like, you had the latitude to make it...
They could have saved the time there.
Yeah,
I mean, they were
just
trying to
simple.
probably
It
show
would've
him
worked
like
better with him.
I think they're trying to show him like down and out. Even the
They-
girl leaves him.
They
He goes to try to be an
overcomplicated the
Avenger,
plot
so it's
by
part
not
of that
having
too.
a plot. All they had to
Yeah.
all they had to do was have the TVA show up to this Earth. We're gonna prune it. We don't need this Earth. It's not the main timeline, right?
Right.
And have Deadpool say, "Well, you can't get rid of my
Right.
timeline. I don't want to lose the people I care about." Get overpowered in that first battle and
Right.
say, "I need some help," and he gets Logan. That's
Yeah.
all you need.
Yeah.
You didn't need anything else
Exactly.
to get to it.
Yeah,
you
I
didn't
know.
need all this other bullshit.
Right.
You didn't need Cameo Land. Like,
Right.
it was cool to see these
Right.
people. It overcomplicated the story by getting rid of the story. I don't know.
Yeah.
It didn't work for
Right.
me. And then they have this ragtag group of I don't know, like they bring in Elektra, they bring in Gambit, they bring in Johnny Storm, they bring in Blade, right? We've spoiled it all, we might as well spoil it all.
Right.
And then at that moment you're like, these are the people, okay. And then they're like, but there's one more.
She's the leader.
She's like the leader.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
bring in
I
X-23
didn't
from
think of her.
Logan, and you're like, I don't give a fuck. I don't
And-
care
and she
about
comes
I
her.
in-
thought she was
she's-
gonna have a bigger presence in the movie.
Yeah.
She was kind of forgotten.
Zero
about.
presence.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, if you're bringing all these cameos in from different Marvel universes, why didn't we bring in David Hasselhoff as the original Nick Fury and
Right.
have him give the same speech that Samuel L. Jackson did? There was an idea, right? That whole
Right,
speech.
right.
Why didn't they have his version of Nick Fury? And that's the payoff to him wanting to be an
Right.
Avenger. Is a different Nick Fury brings him into a group of heroes. Like, that's the payoff. I'm an Avenger. Like that.
But
Right.
no one to say though. I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just gonna add on the cameo stuff though. It's gotten over the top now.
Oh, yeah.
And I think movies in general is all about bringing back the past. All the movies are redoing. It's falling into that category. Like I think Spider-Man with the cameos and everyone's
Yeah.
cheering in the theater. I think they did a good job with that.
That's right.
But I think ever since now, it's like everyone wants to do that.
Yeah, but if you
And
go
we're
back
just
and
trying to
rewatch
find
Spider-Man,
ways-
it doesn't work anymore. It's
Right.
not fun the second time because you've seen it.
Right.
The
But I'm
cameos
saying,
are
like,
only fun when you see them. Oh my god! Once
Yeah.
you know they're coming, it doesn't. It
But they're
just
trying
ends.
to, right? But I just feel like they're trying to, like say in this movie, they're trying to squeeze in so
Yeah.
many cameos, like you
Yep.
said. You're draining the storyline just to find ways to get these people in here,
Right.
give them a send off.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes Blade again, which I did love seeing. But like at the same time, he's like, did it really be? Was
It's
it
meaningless.
needed?
It's
Exactly.
meaningless. It's
And
pointless.
it's like wearing out the storylines. They're not writing around a story; they're writing around cameos.
Right.
Is what I'm
Right.
trying to say. They're trying
Exactly.
to find
Right.
that.
Yeah.
and it
the
doesn't really
story's
get
being
the
forgotten
true
about.
character a chance to shine because there is no story for them to shine. Like, what do they fight for? I don't, you know, like it's not like
Yeah.
in the movie. What do they? Like you were saying before, they need a new villain. They pick a villain. The main villain will just to make life easy is the guy Paradox,
Dr.
right?
Proctologist?
Dr. Proctologist, right? And then Cassandra Nova. One guy's a regular human being, right? Okay, they can kick his ass. He's just a guy in a suit.
He
That's
literally
it.
breaks his nose the first time he meets him.
That's it. So he's no real threat
Right.
to Wolverine or
Or
Deadpool.
nothing.
Anybody can beat him up. You know,
Yeah.
I could beat him up. Then you have
why they had to
Cassandra
fight the
Nova.
machine at the end to.
Right, we'll get to that. And then they have to fight Cassandra Nova, who's just basically a psychic telekinesis thing. So you never really see Wolverine and Deadpool actually kick anyone's ass. You only see them beat each other's ass, which is, to me,
Oh my
I don't
God,
really
they fought
care.
so many fucking times, and it's
Right.
like,
So I think
it's
if
the
you're
same
gonna-
fight each time.
Right, so my thing is, you want a new villain? Why don't you get Omega Red, someone who's badass and big, and go, I want to see Wolverine stab someone in the head, a villain in the head. And
Yeah.
again, he just had to talk to her and say at the end, like, Martha, it was basically the same shit. Oh, Charles Xavier's your brother. He loved you if you would have known you were here.
Yeah,
and that changes her fucking mind.
No, and
What?
It's, and it's kind of going back to what Michael said about Schlapp about Superman. That's why I'm not a big Superman fan, because I just feel he's too powerful in a way. You could beat everybody, and you had the kryptonite, and it's like
Yeah.
whatever. But in terms of this, like with the Nova chick, I'm saying she almost felt too powerful. Really, you
Right.
can't fight her, you can't do anything. She
Right.
can kick their ass until she had the helmet on her head. That was okay, but you had to get around with that.
Yeah.
Wait, but then Wolverine had a chance to have a great fight instead of fighting Deadpool
Oh,
the whole
yeah.
movie, and then he has a chance to fight Sabretooth.
Yep.
You're waiting for this big epic fight, and it lasts about 3 seconds.
Played for jokes.
And he's decapitated.
Right.
Yeah. So they even dropped it there, I felt like, where there was a chance for him to really shine on the scene.
Right.
With his yellow costume
We
on.
still and
We didn't see
still
that either.
Right, and they still haven't given us that Sabretooth.
And then instead of them fighting, exactly, Deadpool and Wolverine fighting so many times in the movie, I didn't like this. What did you guys think about this, especially Schlapp over there?
Yeah.
When all the Deadpools came out.
It made no sense.
I was like, no.
It was useless.
That wasted about 10 minutes in fight scenes
Right.
for that? Really? When you could have made the story more in depth and give it more
And what they don't
life?
explain, or maybe I fell asleep when they
I
explained
couldn't stand it.
Why did they fight those Deadpool? Why did that Deadpool Corps have an issue with
I
our
don't know.
Deadpool and Wolverine? What
Right.
was the?
And what about the Fabio Wolverine guy? Like, what was his purpose really? Like that he couldn't
He's
regenerate?
just a joke.
Yeah.
He was just a
That's what I'm
joke.
saying. Between that and that long fight, wasted time. You
Yeah,
could've
I
really
didn't
done
understand
something.
the whole purpose of that Deadpool fight, because all the Deadpools are friends except for the one Deadpool. Like, why are they like fighting him? They didn't explain it.
No,
it
I
was
know.
just to have one long shot of them fighting.
Yeah.
It was all it was.
and you think back all the other films with X-Men, especially Wolverine. When he had a fight, the chick in X2, what's her name? Lady Deathstrike. I think?
Deathstrike, yeah.
Yeah, that was like, okay, here we go. Like,
Yeah, it was a good
matchup
fight.
time.
Yes.
Or when you saw him fight the other Wolverine in the Logan.
Logan.
You were like, all right, the heavyweight bout. This was like
you never had the two of them fight a big
Yeah,
villain and show
exactly.
off their like togetherness to
Right.
fight someone together. It didn't happen.
Right. It
I was
was
bummed
a
about
mean,
that.
and and tell you the truth, all these action sequences are really kind of forgettable. I don't really, at
Because
one
they're
point,
always fighting like foot soldiers. I feel like they're
Yeah.
always like basic Jones.
yeah,
Like,
right, and at one point they're gonna fight each other. Wolverine, right? You knew that was gonna happen. I don't care. You get one.
yeah.
You
get
get
one.
one.
Listen, I'll take the van, the one in the van fight.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one
That's
you
about
needed
it.
because that was like because that was the point of their relationship getting
Yeah,
stressed.
yeah.
But before that, they had like two, right?
It just kept happening, and they don't even explain why the two of them hate. Well, not so much that why does Deadpool hate Wolverine. They never give you a reason why Wolverine doesn't have why he hates Deadpool and why they're fighting.
Yeah,
It's just fighting to fight. It doesn't really. It comes out of nowhere.
yeah,
Well, he was pressing his buttons a lot, Like,
Well,
he was getting
yeah,
on his
true.
nerves,
right.
you
But
know.
when he initially got out and when they first fought each other in the void, you know, like what's I don't know, like he's gonna fight Wolverine with bullets. Like, why would you even fight him? Just like I feel like what were they really gonna when they first met each other in the void? They fall out, and they start taking it. What was the point of that? Because right after that, there's the Sabretooth scene.
I think he was pissed off that he had gotten him there in the first place. Like, you fucked that up with Paradox and so on and so forth.
Okay.
I guess they
don't
could
know.
have like more of like a. They should have just had more of a shoving match.
They should have been like
just more like
about to fight because
And then
he's
these
been-
other idiots
Then these
come.
other idiots come, and then that happens. Right, and then the whole thing happens with Johnny Storm, right? And he gets
right.
whatever, and then when they fight. They could have built up more to that one fight instead of having them fight every 5 seconds.
Yeah, right,
another
right.
Deadpool Wolverine fight.
Less is more, I see.
Yeah,
Right.
less is more.
You're trying to show the
Less
relationship.
of this movie is more.
Yeah, it was
So-
like a couple. Like, we
Right.
get
Yeah.
it. But how
Right.
many times are you gonna show like the honeymooner type
Right.
feel to it and like
Yeah.
they're bonding, they love hate.
Here was
It's
another
like the makeup
issue.
sex they don't really do, but they kind of. I'm surprised they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Since it's Deadpool, you know what I mean?
Here was the other
But,
issue
like-
I had with the plot of this movie. Before I forget it, because maybe I missed something, and maybe you guys
Yeah,
can
yeah,
explain
yeah.
what I might have missed. The problem with the universe that Deadpool's from
Right.
was Logan dies at the end of Logan.
Right.
Right? And so he needs to replace that Logan. But that movie took place years ahead of time. Years later rather, not ahead of time, but years later. Logan wouldn't have been dead yet during Deadpool and Wolverine.
I know what you mean. Yes.
So why are we traveling to find a different Wolverine? That Wolverine still existed at that point. So why wouldn't
That
he...
actually really would be cool. If he
Yeah.
would stop and like talk to like the fourth wall. How many times they break the fourth wall? So
Right.
it kind of got overdone too.
Yeah.
Right.
But he could have said, "Guess what, guys? We're gonna go in and get him before he died.
Yeah.
And we're
Right.
gonna do this. So you
Right.
better enjoy it." And that could have been it.
You know what I mean? Like, because that version's not dead because we haven't gotten to Old Man Logan
Yeah,
yet.
right. So I didn't know it as well. Knowing that now, it actually
Because
makes
that
it
movie
worse.
took place in, I'm doing this from memory, I think it was like 2030 or something like that. So we're still 6 years,
Right. That's a great
assuming
point.
this takes place in the year today, it takes place, we're 6 years before he's Old Man Logan.
That's a great
That's a
point.
great, I don't know what to say. That should have been the storyline.
So
maybe.
why do we have to
That
find
was
a new
more-
one?
Right.
That would have been
Right,
cool. Like
right,
just plop in
right,
there and be like,
right,
"This is
right.
my chance to work with Wolverine. This is what you
Right.
guys wanted.
And if
so
you
here you go."
remember in Logan, if you remember, he had the briefcase and everyone said the yellow suit was in the briefcase. So that was your excuse to put that yellow suit on. They tease it in Logan. We know our Wolverine has it. You
Right.
could have just got him.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole battle, like we said, the stupid battle with all the Deadpools.
Right.
In Deadpool's apartment, what felt like an eternity beforehand, he has his birthday party. And in that is Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who
Yep.
we know is powerful from the other movies, doesn't help.
Yeah.
Colossus.
Yeah. What was
Doesn't
he doing?
help.
Just,
Why are we not getting the
he was
other...
just chilling out in his
Yeah.
place.
Why are we not getting these other heroes? Colossus goes to your birthday party. You don't
Yeah.
think he's going to help you save his world?
I think the biggest problem is
The cameos too.
that the writers felt so Disney Studio felt like you had to make this you have to tie this into the MCU, which you didn't really you could have just made it more simpler or even just make it silly. That's what makes Deadpool work, is making it silly, you know? Like, I think they should have done this. Who am I, a writer? But instead of having him have a midlife crisis, okay, let's keep that. Let's keep that thing for a second, right? I just thought of this now. Instead of his wife all of a sudden losing her mojo for him, right? That he loses, I don't know. She says he doesn't matter. She doesn't really say that, but it's alluded to, to a degree. All he had to do was go like this. Oh boy, I got my wife pregnant, or my girlfriend pregnant. I just realized that I want to be a role model. All I do is kill people for a living.
Right.
Maybe I could redeem myself and my unborn child when they grow up. They know I'm an Avenger, and that motivates him. That's
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit
that's
more
good.
motivating. I can
All right.
honor my
All right.
wife and I can honor my unborn child. Instead, all of a sudden, he's the most confident character, Deadpool.
Right.
I don't believe this man would lose his. What? He's immune to that. I feel like a midlife crisis.
And then also,
Not him.
what I thought was a missed opportunity,
What?
because they gave us this whole breakup that no one really wanted, like you were saying. When they introduced that Deadpool...
Well, they didn't even need to do that.
They didn't, but they did it. So we have to live in a... Again, we didn't need it, but we have to live in a world where they did it. Why wouldn't...
Living in a lonely world.
Why wouldn't at the end of that movie would have been, I think, a great scene when they introduced Lady Deadpool, and the controversy on the internet was like, for the last how many months, is it going to be Taylor Swift? Is it going to be Blake Lively? Is it going to be Ryan Reynolds' face
right
on a woman body?
Yeah.
In the context of the movie that they gave us, if all of a sudden a Deadpool Corps comes out led by a woman, why not have that mask come off, and why not have it be his girlfriend?
Ooh.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
And now,
All right.
if they would have made the breakup matter more, if they
Yes.
would have made the breakup matter more, if they put a reason behind it other than
Yeah.
midlife crisis,
Yeah.
you could have had them fight because for whatever reason she breaks up with him
Yeah.
because she hates him or something like that. If they would have given you that, you could have had that battle. But we didn't get a reason for the breakup, so you can't have that.
Yeah.
Or it still could have been if they gave us the shitty reason of because he has no purpose and now he has
He
one.
lost his purpose in life. Yeah.
Now she can help him. You found your purpose, and I want to help you with your
Right.
purpose. And it's still, and then that Deadpool Corps could have helped our Deadpool end this conundrum they're in where the world's about to end. Like, you could have used that Lady Deadpool as more than just a 5-second clip of nothing and had it mean something, put a character in it that somehow is involved in this plot, but we forget. Like, they missed so many opportunities.
Yeah.
And again, who are we? Are we writers? No.
Right.
It just
Right.
seems like there are things they should have done
Right.
that they didn't do, and it makes the movie worse.
I'd love to know what scripts they had that they didn't use.
Well,
know
if
what I
you
mean?
remember, they said before, like months ago, this came out that Disney rejected like 10 scripts or some shit like that before Feige was like, okay, this one's good enough. We can use this one. If this one was good enough, how bad were the other ones? Or how good were the other ones? And Feige was like, no, you can't overshadow
Well,
the
even
rest
that
of the
Logan thing you
MCU.
brought up, that is my favorite one. You know,
Yeah.
that he's still
Right.
around. I wonder
Yeah.
if that ever came about, if they knew the storyline. Like, I didn't know it as strongly, you know? But I think, even just going back to this movie, like the meat and potatoes, you did have something here that fell flat. You could have made changes that could have made this better. All the wasted fights, all the wasted scenes, like, you know, a better villain, you know?
Yep.
It just didn't happen.
I want to bring it back to Mike because he's the
Mike,
one who
yeah,
liked
let's-
this film. So we'll kind of just skip to the end. So in order for them to escape this void, right? And this just to make folks clear when we talk about the Deadpool, in this void, there's all multiple universe versions of each character. So there's a bazillion Deadpools. So anyway, that's why that army comes out. Anyway, they have a chance to escape this place. They need to put the other Juggernaut, the Juggernaut from X-Men 3, they need to get his helmet and put it on Cassandra Nova so they can kind of like twist her arm to like open a portal to get them back to the real world. Okay, and then after they go through that portal, they have the Deadpool army fight, and then Cassandra Nova basically puts her hands inside of a giant microwave that can... Basically, that's how the universe is held together by a giant microwave that uses blue energy and orange energy. Like just said at the end of every movie, they have to fight some kind of colored neon light in the sky.
Yeah.
So at the end, they have to destroy this machine, and ultimately they do. They destroy it. So, Mike, what did you think of the ending? So, like Wolverine and Deadpool, they basically stop this microwave time machine or whatever that keeps time in place, whatever the hell you want to call it. What did you think of the ending? Were you satisfied? You were like, were you relieved? Were you at the edge of your seat? Did you think they really, you think that was the end of this version of Wolverine?
Yeah, maybe the ending could have been better. I mean, I was happy they survived in that situation. I know it didn't make sense because they set it up to make them not survive, but yet they survived. But I think that's part of the comedy, maybe, you know. But yeah, I was like, oh, okay, Logan's still alive, and that leaves the fate of who's going to play Wolverine next up in the air, or maybe they're going to do something with the X-Men next. Who knows? So, yeah, I think it was maybe too open-ended, maybe, you know, like I like the end credits. Like it was kind of like, oh, a little funny joke. But I thought it'd been more cool to reveal something to look forward to, you know.
Right.
I mean, like, I know it sounds cheesy, but for me, it was like, it's about the journey, not the destination. You know, like
Right.
like, you know, so I was like, okay, whatever.
Right.
Because, like, all these superhero movies, they don't really, like, I feel like they never have a good ending. They just say, like, tune in next time kind of thing.
Well, that's what the MCU started that,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
they're more.
yeah.
These are really all these MCU universe thing. They're basically turned into a TV series that's on the big screen in theaters. It's basically like villain of the week. Nothing's at stake. Even if you do die, we'll bring you back anyway.
It's almost like
everyone's
every movie
at
is a
this point,
trailer for the
everyone
next
is
movie.
at this point everyone is a Superman or a Wolverine because you can't die.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean,
There's nothing at stake.
Yeah, everyone gets brought back.
Isn't
Yeah, I'm
that-
saying they
isn't
have to
that
really
how-
restart everything. That's why I say,
Right, that's
when I
the-
saw Endgame, it did end it for me. Like honestly, I lost interest in a lot of this. I
Yeah.
didn't watch any of the TV shows. I
It
think it was
felt
watered
like
down.
closure. It was closure.
Yes, but they were trying to keep it all alive, and I get they were trying to keep like the continuation of that. That's kind
Right.
of cool. I feel like the writers were
Right.
like, "Yo, I have an idea. Let's continue from Endgame." And
Yeah, their idea was,
I
I don't
get
want to
it,
lose out on all this Marvel
then,
money.
like-
Let's keep doing this.
but it got so watered down. Like, I don't know.
It's meaningless
not-
and pointless.
But
Wait,
to
wait.
go back, go ahead.
Wait,
Yeah.
PJ, isn't this what like comics are about though? Like they never like
Okay.
like they're always going, and even the deaths in these comics, they're like, I don't want to say they don't mean anything, but like there's always going to be another Spider-Man, and there's always going
Right.
to be another this, right? So like, I feel like in that way the
I'll let
movies,
PJ feel this question.
Yeah.
like
I
mirror
have an answer to that too.
comics in a way, you know.
I
think I do too.
It's different, I think, with comics than it
Uh-huh.
is with the movie.
Uh-huh.
Comics are they're pictures in a book. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And yeah, these characters have been going around since. I mean, Superman was created in 1938. He's probably the longest running superhero. And yeah, he's died. He's come back. It's a whole thing.
Right.
They reboot the universe
Yeah.
so many times. They start over from the beginning. They start over. Like you do a Crisis on Infinite. Shit's too much. Let's start over from day one again. Everything that's happened before this point doesn't matter. We'll continue. We'll get to a point. We've done too much. We start over.
That's right.
and that works in a comic book because comics are less real to me than watching actual people portray these characters. I don't know. For me, it's not the same. Like, they're based on these characters, but the comics reinvent themselves to a point where, all right, we're just starting over. We're just starting over now. It's not the same Superman that you read today isn't the same one from 1938. They started over because they got to this point that we're talking about right now where we're like, we can't keep doing this shit.
Yeah.
There's no new villains to introduce. Let's start over. Let's give a new twist to the origin and start over. Let's do this, and we'll go from there. I don't know. In the movies, they could have done that. They could have ended at Endgame and started over with Fantastic Four as the first hero instead of Iron Man.
That's more what I want.
And then,
exactly.
and then you build out and you just go forward and you start over. These movies aren't starting over. There's just, I don't know. It's believable to me in a comic book that you can write an excuse to bring someone back. He's always going to be 30 in the comic books.
Yeah,
Robert Downey Jr. is like 60.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it kind of basically what PJ kind of said. It's also, I feel like with movies, like you're telling a complete story, a middle, beginning, and end.
These aren't going to end.
And you want that emotional arc. Comic books, there is an arc, of course, but it's like it's a different medium, and I think you can't do that. It's like having a play, and you have to keep watching like different series of a play. To see how it.
Like these are going to go on hopefully because I have a store, so hopefully these are going to go on forever, right? That's what I'm saying. In 1938, you have Superman. In 2024, you have Superman, right? In this movie, it's going to end, and then that's it because Robert Downey Jr. can't be Iron Man in 100 years from now.
Right.
So you have to have an ending. Whereas you could just keep drawing this to look like the same guy. Reboot the universe if it gets stale. But he's never going to age, so there's never going to be an ending.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was going to say, like, I believe in the ABCD of storylines overall. What comics I know goes, like, to be continued. Yeah, I get it.
Right.
But I think it comes down also to the story. Going back to this movie, the story still could have been better. And I'm going to go back to the ending for a second that I actually didn't mind it because I had to buy into it by the end. I know they're holding hands and they're saving the planet with the microwave situation, whatever you said. But I was okay at that point, believe it or not. I'm like, all right, they're still alive, okay. And then, like, Wolverine walks off. Where's he walking off to? I don't know. I think everything else before that is what killed me, I think. And by the end, I was like, all right, they saved it. What else were they going to do? They can't, like, punch it like the comics, like punch the machine.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're going to do something like that. They have the power to stay alive. There's two of them.
Right.
So.
I think it just goes back, you said, whoever was saying, like, I really wanted a big ass-kicking fight at the end.
And like,
nothing, to have both these characters shut down a machine that's going to, affect time and space.
And that's why you really can't fight the Nova chick once she doesn't have the helmet on. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of an odd, bad choice, I think, because you can't fight her. She's too good. She kicked their ass how many times? Like,
you want to
there was
see
even
them
one
get
scene
their hands
earlier
dirty.
on. It's like she really like put Wolverine under the ground or somebody under the ground, and then they flew away on Wolverine's like little flyaway thing.
Yeah.
I came like I didn't even like that, but she could have killed him right then like this.
She's turned to smithereens.
So I feel like it's a hard villain to even use.
They should just, like I said, just have another person who's hand-to-hand combat or something like that.
Yeah.
Or what they could have done. There's so many things they could have done. But they have the microwave. They have the microwave, right?
Right.
And they have to turn off the microwave.
Right.
What if Dr. Proctologist had to get down?
I hated that guy.
I hated that guy.
I hated that
Like,
character.
if he had to get down there and turn the machine on to end the world.
He slowed the movie down,
And
that guy.
they're trying to stop it. And if he would have absorbed those energies and turned into a villain they could have fought.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know what I mean? Like, there could have been something to give you a battle where the heroes team up and fight the big villain and save the world.
No, because you never got that fight.
Right.
Wolverine and Deadpool working together to fight someone big.
Right. And I understand it's a comedy. I understand that. I just feel like with any comedy, you have to have, like, you need, I guess just storytelling. You need things to, like, have a purpose. It's kind of like Dumber and Dumber. You know what I mean? Like, you think about that. That movie's, they're all dumb, right? All the jokes are silly, right? But they steal that briefcase, but it's also connected to, like, a mob. Just to make life easy here, right? They're getting tied into it. Like, I feel like this movie, nothing was at stake. They fight the entire Deadpool, and then they come back, and then they wait. I guess, but I don't even think I didn't really laugh though. Like,
No,
I guess I'm trying to think. Well, I guess there's a whole difference. We could do an episode like what is funny. Like I don't like.
Well, you know what I'm afraid of
like,
at this point. You're right.
What is funny? Is this funny? Just Well, that's silly. That's what he does. His character. Like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, it's
Well, the
silly. It
first
doesn't really
two-
mean it's funny though.
I agree.
You
sorry
know,
to
like.
interrupt.
And where
there's
do you go from
there's no
here?
punchline. If there's no
Right,
punchline,
yeah.
I think it could be silly. That means nothing. That. If there is a punchline, if
That's why I
there's no
think
setup, then how could there be a punchline?
Yeah,
You know?
Deadpool 1 and 2, I think, were well paced in terms of his jokes.
Yes.
And I really liked it. But what I'm afraid of, I'm going to call it now.
Do it.
I think there might be like Deadpool saturation. It's like going over the top. I think it's going to be overload Deadpool.
It's
It's
if-
already all
is
over
it-
Disney. It's all like his his shtick, like his comedy. It's gonna get overplayed real
Yeah.
quick,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
already almost overplayed it in this movie.
Yes.
And I loved his style, and I'm like, and I love Deadpool. I'm already shot. I think I'm done. I
We're
think I'm-
missing a very important piece of information in this entire conversation.
Oh,
Here is something that we need to just put out in the open. The character of Deadpool is the worst comic book character ever created in the history of comic books.
oh,
So the movies can't actually be that good if it's based on a character this bad.
wow.
I think that needs to be said.
Well, I think he was really a
I
goof
do
on
like
comic
him.
books.
Yeah, but now
No,
I think
yeah.
I'm burnt out.
It's a terrible. He
Yeah.
was actually a ripoff of DC's Deathstroke, and they created Deadpool. So if you're familiar with the comics or not, Deathstroke is Slade Wilson. That was his name. Marvel made a satire of that character with Wade Wilson,
Oh,
and it was a goof. It was a spoof,
Yeah.
a joke. But it's a shitty character. It's always going to be a shitty character. It's never going to be good. So you're making a movie on a character that's not a good character. It's always going to be tough. You're always fighting an uphill battle.
wow.
And so if you're always fighting an uphill battle, at some point it's going to fail. And you got lucky with the first movie. And I give all the credit in the world to Ryan Reynolds for why the
Yeah.
first movie worked.
Yeah.
It only works because of him. Put anybody else in that mask, funny or not,
Yeah.
it's not going to work. The second movie is not as good as the first movie.
But it's still very
But
good.
I liked it a
It's
lot.
very
It-
good.
it
though.
is.
It's very good.
But you
though.
start to see the cracks in this because it already starts to feel like a rerun. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's not that it's got a good story and all that, but it's the same. It's more of the same. It's just more jokes. And now you're in the third movie. There's nowhere else to go. All he can be is a shitty, goofy character. You can't put story behind him because it's a shitty character.
And I think also what you're saying too is that you can't put a character who's comedic and put him in situations where like the world depends on
Right.
it. But even if they're trying to do that as a joke, like you're saying, what's the comedy? I don't think it lands because they're
Right.
not executing it.
Right.
So it goes back to that the movie wasn't executed well.
That's what I mean. I think the story hurt it though. I think
Yes,
it still
of
could
course.
have worked. His style could have worked.
Of course.
Less of it. I would be like, yo, we gotta chill on the jokes. Like,
And
we
they
gotta
need,
slow down.
and I think they really needed something because if you remember the first one, he has to fight that guy, Ajax or Ferguson. Like
Yep.
you're like he wants to win his girl back, and you're like, all right. He's like, all right, we're gonna sell this now, man to man. You were happy to see that happen, you know. Or the second one, they fight Juggernaut and all that crap. That was big, you know. There's things at stake. Like you want to see these guys get their hands dirty.
Well, just to end on to that real quick.
Of course, yeah.
With all the Marvel stuff, I kind of drifted also because I kind of have like Dark Knight, Nolan movies.
Yeah.
They had that serious tone. I'm saying Thor and stuff when they started doing too much of the jokes and he's got the beer
Yes,
belly.
yes.
Yeah.
That's
You
another
said
reason
that the
why
other day in
I've
an
been
episode.
checking out, and I think
Yeah.
these
It's too
movies
jokey.
also are becoming too funny. And I know they're trying to cater to the
Yep.
kids, and they're trying to find that balance
Right.
between kids and adults, but that's also hurting it. My favorite heroes have turned into goofs. The Hulk, you heard me talk about that. I'm just saying too many jokes, this and that. It's killing it.
I think you brought a good point, Rob, because you said that the Deadpool comedy now is gonna find its way into the other films, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy
Yep.
and
Yeah.
Ragnarok. We saw how that is infected, and actually
I'm telling you, it's an epidemic.
watered down the whole
Yeah.
MCU. That forcing that kind of
Yep.
comedy. Now, like
Fourth wall breaking, you mean?
no, just like the kind of the silliness of just like of the films, like
All the Marvel stuff got
they're all
very
comedies.
silly.
They're all
Yeah.
comedies now.
Endgame
So, like-
was serious,
like-
then it got really bad.
Yeah, like I'm what I'm trying to say is like you're gonna see like look at the Venom movies. They're a comedy. Like they're all comedies now. They don't really have anything. Anyway,
That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing like because we saw a trailer for the next what's it called Captain American Falcon.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see that the new Captain America start doing Deadpool comedy. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, I'm telling you, with
Someone's
some more cameos.
you know,
and other
someone is
garbage.
about to rewrite. What they call it, punch-ins, the punch-ups. They punch up the. He's gonna say like, "Excuse me, Mr. President, I might be black, but I'm also a hero." Yeah,
Yeah.
something like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was like with everything
you know
else.
what's gonna happen. You know,
Everyone's
And
just
this
gonna ride
movie-
the
I
current
gotta
trend.
say-
It's like trendy now.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
problem.
Yeah, hey, and look, in Deadpool they had jokes like that. They made fun of transgender. They made fun of every. No one was. He made fun of everybody. So, but yeah, I think that was a great point, Rod. Deadpool is going to infest. Deadpool's no longer gonna be unique, unfortunately, because you're gonna have Iron Man become. He's coming back, whatever heck it is, and you know they're all gonna turn into Deadpools and Ragnaroks and
Oh my gosh.
comedy.
Do you guys watch movies just to hate them?
I think I want to watch movies that are well done. And
No, it
unfortunately,
is.
this was
Listen,
not
I'll
well
tell you
done.
that I live in the past, in the '90s and stuff like that,
Sure,
where you
sure.
had those really serious movies, Batman 1989. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Terminators and stuff like that. Even though I got a little goofy, but
Yes,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I
I'm
mean,
so
it's-
much about the
right.
story. I know you don't like PJ some of the Nolan stuff, but
I
what I
don't,
love about him though,
but-
he kept things serious though, and that's my tone.
Right.
You know. But anyway, enough of this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
These are good takes.
Right, and I
don't want to hate. I'm just you
right,
know.
and I love the first two
I said-
Deadpools. That's the biggest crime is that it.
And I would tell people to see this. I would say you got to see it. You
Well,
got
that's
to
what
see
I
it.
was gonna say.
That's why
I
everyone's
was
gonna come
gonna-
to the movie. Like it's
Right.
doing. It's killing right now. It's doing
Right,
awesome.
Right. So I guess as we're wrapping things up, Mike, we'll start with you.
Yeah, brother.
You know, what would you rate this movie out of 10? Being True Blue, you know, would you recommend it? What do you think? Where do you find it in the pantheon of the DC, the MCU films or Marvel films? Is it some of the best, some of the worst? Is it one of the
You
other
know,
forgettable ones?
I think I give it an 8, but like the thing is
Wow.
much like some other ones, it does hinge on nostalgia. Like you know some like it's hard because you take someone who's not familiar with any of this to this movie, and it's like it feels like they have to do homework. I feel like that's not fair to the
Yes,
audience
that's
sometimes.
another problem. Yeah.
So I think like that kind of like lowers it a bit. I just think for me emotionally it was so fun. It's just cool to see Hugh work and things like that. So that's what elevates it to me. I do think the points you make about the story, it's good and it could have been better in these ways, but regardless, like sometimes your meal, like the restaurant's noisy, but it's still a good meal. You know, that's how I viewed this movie. You know.
Okay.
So an 8 out of 10.
That's right.
And you
Yeah.
recommend it, I'm assuming.
I would recommend it to the average comic book fan, but not like a first date, because then you're like, hey, I'll explain this whole movie to you while we watch. You know, it's kind of hard, you know. So, yeah, I think anyone who likes superhero movies and is familiar with the material should go see it. Having said that, that's where I stand.
Uncle Rob?
Wow. All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna say this. I think it's a must see.
Wow.
You have to see, well, I'm gonna say because you have to see these two guys on screen. I
Yes,
could never
okay,
say,
all right, I
guys,
get
don't
that.
come see. Well, you gotta be
Right,
nuts.
right, touche,
So
touche.
plus all the work they put into it. Wolverine. I mean, Hugh Jackman came back for this.
Oh, he's
I think
jacked,
it's something you
yeah.
have to see. Like I said, with the Expendables, you got to see these guys on screen. So I would tell people to go see it, and I want to hear your review about it. Maybe I'm being too harsh. As you heard, the story could have been better. I'm trying to love it for like the jokes and like what we saw here. But overall, I'm probably going to give it. And I was trying to raise this today on the way in. I'm still going to give it a 6. A 6
Yeah.
out of 10. I feel like the storyline really hurt it overall, and I just can't oversee it because I wanted so much more from the story.
Sure.
It didn't show up. I'm kind of bummed. But I love seeing these dudes on screen, and I definitely recommend to see it. Absolutely. You got to see it on screen.
your
In the movie theater and enjoy it the
Right.
best you can. Yeah.
Nice.
Next.
I'll go. I mean, when we first saw the movie and we left the theater on Friday evening, I was at a 6 out of 10.
Uh-oh.
I had some time. I had a day and
Right, so-
change to
right.
digest it.
Right, yes.
And form a new opinion.
Right, that's so not just react so emotionally.
Right.
Right.
Good.
A bit
Right,
more
right,
using
right.
our wise mind.
Right. I
Let it
wanted,
like simmer,
I want to let it
resonate.
simmer.
I was trying to do
Right.
the same.
Right.
Mhm.
Wanted to let it bake.
Mm.
You gotta let you don't just eat a steak. You gotta let the juices
Oh,
redistribute.
yes, the
Right,
juice.
right,
right? I give it a 5 out of 10.
Oh. Oh, right.
It
Wow.
went the
So
wrong
you
way.
lowered it.
I lowered it to a 5 out of 10.
Well, one of the things I like about you is your high standards. I always like your opinions on the show. I like
True.
his opinions on the show, so
Yes.
it's cool hearing his opinion.
Me too,
You
yeah.
know?
So when I left the theater, I was gonna give this movie a 4 out of 10.
Damn it!
Wow.
But because I feel like it's because I find the
Wow.
movie still very disappointing in terms of a Deadpool movie. Very
Wow.
disappointing, as it's another run of the mill MCU movie, and I do find this movie it's not going to age well. I'll say that. A year from now, you're gonna
I
see
can
all
never
these
rewatch.
It's gonna
retro.
age like fine milk.
You gotta
Yeah.
this in retrospect. A year from now, people are like, yeah, it wasn't as good. It's definitely the weakest one, and blah 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 blah. It's forgettable, which it is. It's really forgettable and pointless. However, I do agree with Rob that see it in theaters because you have to see Jackman on screen. He's the reason you go to see it, and of course Deadpool, Reynolds together. Yeah, I think, but like PJ said, I had to let it simmer.
Okay.
I had to let it simmer.
Oh.
And I'm trying to be very objectively, so I would give it a 6-2.
Oh, okay.
6-2.
So you went up from that 4. Okay.
Wow,
Yeah.
he went up 2 whole points.
Yeah.
I went
Only-
down.
I
the
actually
reason,
stayed the
and the
same.
reason,
I was a
and the
6
reason
Friday
why
night.
I gave it 2 more points because I go to myself. I'm trying to measure it as it is. Is it better than the other? Most of the I think I know it's not really saying that much. It's the best MC movie in a long time, in years. Do I think it saved it? No, I don't think it saved the cinematic. No, absolutely not. Is it the best one that's come out since then? Yeah. So it's better than all these other movies that are really a 4 or a 5. This is light years are better than that, but as a Deadpool movie, very disappointing. That's why it's getting a 6.
Okay.
So, but folks, yeah, we want to know what you think.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah. So,
Listen, put in the comments. Yeah, I want to know it too. Yeah.
but yeah, it was it's definitely a movie that we're gonna. It's very interesting from a year from now. See how this movie is remembered. I really
And I
hope
feel
this is.
unfortunately a lot of the movies have become that, the Marvel stuff. How many people are going to really rewatch a lot of these? Because they're just putting them out. They're cool
Yeah.
for the moment.
I would
and it's
never
like-
rewatch this
Then you go,
ever.
oh, what's
Mhm.
next? Because, you're not going to, wasn't that good? Like, wasn't
Yeah.
it amazing?
Yeah. Then if you just go on YouTube and like, let me find my favorite scene. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even-
Right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like, how many times have I Googled like the Dark Knight scene with he gets the thing turns into the Bat Pod.
Right.
How many times I love in Wolverine? What is it, X-Men 2? When Wolverine gets pissed off and he jabs the guy
Yeah,
right
yeah.
against the. I mean, I watched that clip like this is a 3-second clip. You could just keep playing
Yeah.
back on YouTube. I must have watched it dozens of times to get myself pumped up in life. But anyway, if you haven't already, get those popcorn buckets and have fun. Thanks for listening. Same time, same table.
Have a good one.
Boys and girls, lunchtime is over. For more information, visit their website at coolkidslunchtable.podbean.com. Follow the boys on all social media platforms. Just search Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast. Now get to class before you get detention.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.